All right, have and have not fans. We got, and I honestly, this was definitely one of the best episodes, in my opinion, that we have seen for a while, and I think the internet agrees. I remember being on Twitter last night and seeing so many great tweets. I mean, overall, I think that this episode was well received. Veronica's House, Season 5, Episode 11. This is going to be my episode review video. And of course, as the week goes on, I'll have my trailer breakdown for next week. And then, I'll talk about some bullet points that I did pick up in the episode that I feel will play out later this season. But overall, I actually went back and rewatched the episode this morning. I literally just finished a few minutes before getting behind the mic to record this. And overall, let me just put it this way. I feel that the first half of the episode, I think around the first 20 minutes, felt a bit slow, not bad slow, but just a bit slow. But I think the scene where we had Veronica and Justin, I feel like that was the turning point of the episode, because after that, that's when things really got good. So let me just go through these bullet points. I'll go through some different thoughts I have. And of course, feel free to chime in the comment section below. Just starting off, I feel like during the first 6 to 8 minutes of the episode, where we had Veronica throwing the brick through the window, getting the attention of David and Erica, and then going on about how this is her house. This really gave me Acrimony vibes, and spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie yet, but Melinda, Taraji P. Henson's character, it really reminded me of what Veronica's doing right now, going on about this, how this is her house, that, I made you. You wouldn't be who you are now without me. You're nothing without me. And I think the best line from that dialogue was Veronica saying that I'm sane and crazy at the same time. That pretty much defines her well. Now, when I first saw the episode, because actually I watched the episode last night, but the cable kept blinking on and off, so I missed at least 3 key parts of the episode, and that's why I went back to rewatch it this morning to make sure I didn't miss anything. It really did give me Acrimony vibes. Now, if you haven't seen Tyler Perry's Acrimony, I highly suggest at least going to watch it one time, because I really do feel like the storyline of that movie did mirror what was going on with the Veronica storyline in the haves and the have-nots. And, you got the whole restraining order thing, and, you have David and her going at it. And I guess you could say, just based off looks alone, it looks like David has a little more muscle on him than Jim does, because we did see Jim shirtless when Catherine walked in on him and G at the Artesian Hotel. So it is kind of funny how that pretty much went around full circle, where David is at his house with a younger woman, and then, his wife shows up. The only difference is Catherine just walked through the front door, whereas Veronica decided to throw a brick through the window. Now, moving on to the next part of that, we get to Erica, and I got to admit, she came across as not that convincing to me. I wouldn't say that, she was a bad actress, but I feel like Erica wasn't written to be very convincing in that scene, or at least the delivery wasn't, her talking about no drama. And David made a good point pointing out the fact that, hey, you're from an abusive relationship yourself. But I feel like, Erica's retort should have been like, well, at least it wasn't to this extent. I was hit a few times, but it wasn't as bad as, Veronica's making it for you now. And I love how she's like, I can't take this. It's like, look, you see that brick, the window? And I'm thinking to myself, she has no idea that Veronica put their son in jail. Veronica set him up to be engaged, impregnate a woman, not to mention, nearly burning David down to cremating him in their own home. She doesn't know about this stuff. She only knows from stories from David and Candice that, Veronica is somebody you shouldn't trifle with. So the fact that she's losing it over a brick, I mean, maybe she was putting on an act, hence why she really wasn't that convincing to me. If she knew everything that Veronica had done up to that point, something tells me she would be more afraid of Veronica than Candice. Let's just put it that way. Next thing we need to figure out the fact that it looks like next time Veronica comes back, and she will be coming back based off the episode preview, she's going to do something more than send a brick through a window. Let me just leave it at that. Then we have the next scene where we have Hannah in her new makeover. And I wouldn't even call it negative, but I feel like one of the most comical things that fans were saying online is like, what is Hannah doing with that Dolly Parton wig on, a Farrah Fawcett wig and whatnot? Now, yeah, it is a bit much, but to be honest, it is kind of funny because I did like how Hannah was telling Benny, it's like, believe it or not, Benjamin, I was a woman before I was your mother. And I love how the two makeover artists were there kind of making faces in the background, kind of like, ooh, she got you. And to be honest, this overprotective Benny was annoying even way back when he was doing the same thing when Hannah was, talking with, and then Benny walked in on her and Michael back in, I believe it was season 3, after Michael had too much to drink and was sleeping in Hannah's, I think it was either her bed while she was still awake, and then she eventually came in to get ready to go to her job, and they started having sex, and then Benny walked in on them. The overprotective son, Benny, worked a lot better before he was a man whore, just sleeping around with Veronica and Melissa, and then making all these dumb decisions with the Malones and whatnot, basically becoming more like Candice. So this Benny, the one we saw in the episode when Hannah was around, again, this definitely would have worked a lot better before the whole Veronica Cougar situation, in my opinion. I mean, I know it was meant to be played for laughs and whatnot, but after everything that Benny has done in the first 10 episodes of this season, trying to make him more likable, or like trying to actually be a son, it doesn't really work for me unless he has a major redemption arc, because we know in the next episode he's going to bring somebody home. So let's just leave it at that. And the fact that, I loved how Hannah was like, well, if you start telling me about what's going on with you, you start knowing what's going on with me. Gave him a wink and then walked out the door with Derek. I did love that. I love that. Let's see what else we have here. This scene, to me, I don't feel like it was a very good scene. That's when Veronica comes in, pretty much belittles Jeffrey, and then goes on about the fact that you can't get out of here. You're in the system now, boy. I don't think there's anything I could do, but I'll work on it. This really reminded me of season, I think it was season 3. It was after, Veronica went to the Sarandon Hotel after having a feeling that David was there with somebody else, Maggie Day, then talked him down, then slapped the mess out of Maggie several times, then went over to Jeffrey's house. He comes in, and then Veronica's sitting there and blames him for the whole mess between her and David due to the fact that he's gay. I feel like this was almost a mirror image of that. Pretty much Veronica making herself feel bigger by belittling everyone else around her that she can't control. So pretty much the fact that David held his ground against her made her go see their son, because she knew that she can beat him down to make herself feel bigger. If anything, it's just a metaphor for the whole elementary or middle school bully, pretty much making everyone else around them that they can overpower feel weak just to make themselves feel bigger, just because in not all aspects of their own life do they have control. So I really didn't like the fact that we saw Jeffrey being so weak to Veronica after he has been so strong for so long. I mean, yeah, he pretty much stood his ground against Candice, but then, yeah, she talked him down. Now Veronica did the same thing with Jeffrey again. And I was thinking that, he would have more faith in his dad, because remember, if he had listened to his dad at the end of season 4, he wouldn't have been in jail in the first place. Then you have Veronica coming in there, and he's literally a child again. It doesn't make sense to me, especially with the fact that David's going to get him off on bail. So at least I'm glad he didn't mention that, because I'm pretty sure if he did, there might have been a chance that Veronica would have screwed up the system so he couldn't get out of there. So I didn't really like that scene too much, just because it didn't do a lot for Jeffrey's character. Maybe it's the build up for the whole Veronica walking in on Jeffrey and Justin later, but we'll just have to see, because I'm guessing that Jeffrey's going to make bail thanks to his father before before Veronica works on the system to try to get him out. So let's just leave it at that. Next up, and this is what I said earlier, at least I was talking with another have and have not addict named Candice, and I was telling her that for me personally, the first half of the episode felt a bit slow. It wasn't bad, but it did feel a little bit slow. Things really picked up between Justin and Veronica in the hallway to police station. I'm going to be honest here. I was pleasantly pleased due to the fact that I wasn't annoyed by Justin this episode. He had a really great scene with Veronica. I love the fact that they brought up the whole scenario of, wait, you were the one that tried to run me off the road, but I don't think you have it in me. I do have a suspicion it was you, though. I did love that scene. That was pretty good. I was a bit surprised that they actually brought it up this episode. And that's one reason I feel like this episode was good, because they seem to cover a lot of ground. Yes, in some areas it was a little bit slow, but the fact that they covered a lot of key points from the past, not just the past 10 episodes, but some from the ending of season 4, I really did enjoy that. And let's see what else we have here. The best line of dialogue was, "I get under your skin. Well, I get under your son's skin." And I just love the fact that that's the biggest way, or the best way, to shut up Veronica. She doesn't want to accept her son is gay, but whenever somebody points out the fact that he is, she just shuts up. I don't know what else to say. And then the fact that video of Justin and Jeffrey are on the internet. Yeah, I can buy the fact that Veronica didn't do that, because remember way back during, I want to say it was season 3. I think it was season 3. It was the season where, Jim got on TV to announce he was running for governor. But then Celine, Carlos, and little Jimmy, his youngest son by Celine, came on TV to reveal the fact that he had, abandoned them as a father. And Veronica's smirk at that made people believe that she was the one that orchestrated that, but really it was Carlos that pushed Celine into it. So I really do like the fact that Veronica and her idea that it was some of Justin's fellow boys in blue doing it, I actually do buy that. That actually makes sense. So the video might go viral, and that's why Justin gets called into the office of his boss, and then most likely has to give up his job, because we did see that in the extended trailer for these episodes coming up. And looking under the next scene, yeah, I have to agree that the Justin and Veronica thing was the best part. Then we get to the restaurant, and we get a little backstory on Derek. One thing that did confuse me, back in the episode, I believe it was called Hannah's Tea, where Hannah and Derek were in Catherine's kitchen, and she was making a spot of tea for them because it was their quote unquote first date, if you will. Because remember, Derek originally asked her for coffee. She said no, but then this tea was supposed to be a coffee substitute, just to sitting down and getting to know each other. Didn't Derek tell Hannah at the time that that he had some sons that were in college? I could have sworn he mentioned that. And then he also mentioned how he was a deacon, how he had been a widower for about a year now since he's lost his wife. The only new information we got from that dinner scene, if I'm not mistaken, was the fact that Derek doesn't drink. Derek met his Cuban wife in Havana, which is indeed a spot in Cuba. Whenever I hear the word Havana, all I can do is think about Camila, the girl from Fifth Harmony who has a solo career. And I'm not going to lie, that's one of the best albums I've heard in such a quite a long time. Havana, Never Be the Same, just to name a couple of hits all these years. But that's another video for another time. But we know that Derek is going to take her dancing, and he seems a bit, not, I wouldn't say too much, but did anybody else get like a semi-sinister, pushy feeling in the fact that he was like, we're going dancing and stuff? Like, to me, that did give me some, whoa, this guy seems a little bit pushy. But on the other hand, I was thinking, well, he's been through a lot. He knows Hannah's been through a lot. And the fact that, she doesn't really go out much. And then the fact that, he's always being pushed by Veronica and Catherine to date certain, date people they're trying to hook him up with. But I think that it was a friendly push in the fact like, look, we're going to go out. We're going to have a good time tonight. I did get that vibe, but then in the preview for next week, that preview video is going to be his own video. But yeah, I did like the scene between Derek and Hannah, because when was the last time we've seen Hannah this happy? I mean, yeah, we did when, she got custody of Quincy Jr. after Benny found him and whatnot, but there was just so much going on at the same time. But I mean, for an entire episode to have Hannah in such a good mood, like, say what you want about her new makeover, the hair being too big and not natural and all that stuff. Yeah, I know, but I was just happy that she was happy, at least for one episode. That's what I'm talking about with that. And then we get to Melissa seducing Benny. I'm not going to lie, there's not much to say here. I'm glad that she came out straightforward. The fact that I sent you the message. I was actually thinking that Veronica would walk in on it too, and then Benny would bring up the fact that, hey, look at your phone. You're the one that messaged me. And then Melissa would just let everything play out. I mean, literally, I thought that's how it was going to go. And I was also surprised that Veronica walked in on it too this episode. Like, I was under the impression that that wouldn't happen for at least maybe another 1 or 2 episodes. So that's why I say that Tyler Perry definitely brought his A game with the pacing in this episode. I definitely did enjoy that. And some people are calling Benny weak, but I mean, look, number one, he did everything he usually does with Veronica. He tries to fight it, but then after a couple of seductive moves on his person, he ends up crumbling like a house of cards. And to be honest, Melissa, my gosh, I don't know if I could have fought it, but the fact that he's like, she's going to walk in. I don't care. She's going to see the fact that my car is in the front. I don't care. I want her to see. I'm just like, oh, okay. That's, yeah, well, there. I will say this much. I didn't see her try to search Benny's pockets for a condom. So the pregnancy is still up in the air. I mean, I'm just going to leave it at that. And let's see. I guess the next scene is Oscar and Candice. And I mean, Oscar, I guess you could say, the one thing about Candice, and I want to do a video, probably something along the lines of who's going to bring this chick down. What is it about Candice that makes all these men just lose themselves? I mean, obviously it was smart of her to put the moves on Oscar before, putting something in his drink to let his guard down. But I'm 26 years old. I've never been a major party goer, but I've always known the rules that whenever you're at a party or whatever, if you ever leave a drink unattended, never pick that drink up, because somebody, even your buddies or whatever, may have spiked or drugged that drink when you weren't looking. The fact that Oscar did that after having sex with Candice and not even thinking that she would do that is beyond me. I mean, I agree with everything he said in terms of the long game. You can make all these millions of dollars, but Candice doesn't want to do that. She wants to make the quick buck and take all the money from. Really wasn't for that. I really don't know why they're still pushing the "this is my money" thing. But Oscar is not dead. I will do another video covering my thoughts on that, because I do believe we actually have solid proof that he is not dead. But I just am getting sick of Candice Young. I'm not going to lie. She's beautiful, but I'm just not feeling this whole pimp whore thing. I'm not. Then she's calling Rocky up saying that, hey, if things work out, you'll never have to, have a little girl running around here again, because they can both retire. And that leads to this kid. And I believe the kid is Broderick. I think it's Broderick. That was my impression of it, due to the fact that, hey, I'm getting off soon, then I have a kid coming through. I mean, I'll double check that scene, but I was under the impression it was Broderick, because remember, him and Rocky are running this, well, for a lack of a better phrase, a brothel within this hotel. So given the fact that he seems to be a bit more, it goes back to what Hannah was talking to Derek about, and the fact that kids today want to make a quick buck instead of make an honest living. To me, that does resonate with Broderick, and the fact that he wants to make a quick buck by trying to usurp Jim Cryer's position with Catherine in order to take her money. So it would make sense that Rocky's, kid being Broderick. It seems like Rocky is the level-headed one trying to make this stable income with the young girls, but then Broderick wants to eclipse that by jumping over a skyscraper with Catherine Cryer in order to make a quick buck. So it does remind me a lot of what Candice is trying to do now. So to me, the kid is Broderick, but let me know in the comment section below, do you think it was referring to another young girl? But I really do think it was Broderick. A lot of fans were disappointed. Going back to the end of the episode where Veronica walks in on Benny and Melissa, a lot of people were disappointed that they cut the cat fight, but I think we're going to pick that up in the next episode. So I wasn't too disappointed by that. But I did love the fact that Melissa went for the hair. She went for the hair. Enough said. Enough said. And then we get to the final scene with Catherine and Jim waiting at Wyatt's loft. And I do like the banter between the two. I really do miss Jim and Catherine being on screen together. I will admit that the show is being a bit bold. You know, whenever somebody drops the S word, there's no bleeping out. I do believe that Veronica, dropped a mother, F at the beginning of the episode, but that was bleeped. But yeah, the fact that they said the S word, but it wasn't bleeped out, that was pretty, wow, I didn't expect that coming. But I really am interested to see this plan that Jim has, and based off the preview, it looks like Sarah is making a return, so that's probably having something to do with his plan. But I doubt that he anticipated the likes of Candice intercepting Oscar to get to his money. I feel like that's going to be a hole in his strategy there. And we get to the final, and again, this cliffhanger here. Wyatt comes in, they take the drugs, dump it down the sink. I was afraid the first time I saw the episode. I thought that knife was Wyatt trying to stab Jim, but thankfully it was Jim getting the drugs down the drain. But the fact that my God, the way he backhanded Catherine. Okay, I don't know what surprised me more, the fact that Wyatt backhanded Catherine or the fact that Jim was so fast to push Wyatt out of the way to come to Catherine's aid. And then you flip it around to when Wyatt bust him upside the head with the wine glass, and then Catherine was picking him back up. I like that. I mean, not the situation they were in, but I did like the fact that they both had each other's back. I love that. You had, when Catherine got hit in the front of her face, and then when Jim got hit in the back of his head. But they had each other's backs. I do respect that. And to be honest, I really don't think it goes without saying that Wyatt is going to actually hit them with the statue due to the fact that we know that, Jim's going to be in the next episode with his head fully intact. So there's that. But overall, I feel like this was a solid episode. In my opinion, this should have been the mid-season finale. Like, this should have been the episode they aired before they went on break. This definitely had a good cliffhanger. For the most part, solid pacing. It really kept me intrigued. I am looking forward to next week. And I don't want to jinx it, but the preview for next week's episode definitely looks like it's from next week's episode. It doesn't look like a trailer in which that they put together a lot of great scenes, but it's only going to cover the next 3 or 4 episodes. It's not going to be encompassing just next Tuesday. So I am going to give this episode, when I did a live stream last night, I gave it an 8.5. I'm going to give it a 9. You know what? I will give this episode a a solid 9. A good way to pick up the season. Definitely the best episode of season 5 thus far. It really gave me, I feel like it gave me, it really gave the acrimony vibes, especially during the first part of the episode with Veronica. You know what? Maybe that's why Tyler Perry kept this episode in the bag, because he wanted acrimony to come out first and then release this episode. That could be it. I'm just speculating here. But I do feel like, Veronica really bringing down everybody else, calling Melissa dumb, calling Jeffrey, dumb, and, making him call Justin a her, then pretty much challenging Erica and David at the beginning of the episode. And you know what? Maybe it's a bit of foreshadowing, but the fact that Erica was going on about, I can't take this anymore. My foot, look, I cut my foot on this glass. My foot is bleeding. Do you think that's a slight bit of foreshadowing for more of her blood being spilled later on this season? I'll leave it at that. So with that being said, guys, I thoroughly did enjoy the episode, and I'm not going to lie, I might actually watch it a third time before next Tuesday. So guys, if you can just do me one favor, just hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, because I enjoy doing this. I have a lot of videos planned between now and next Tuesday, and I really want to try to up the quality of these videos by using clips from the actual own YouTube, of course, giving credit to them. So in the episode trailer breakdown for next week, I'll try to do a thing like I did in the extended trailer we got back after episode 10, where I'll have the trailer play at the beginning of the video then I'll just break the entire thing down, because I really want to make these as thorough as possible. I want to demonstrate to everybody out there that this is the best have and have not related channel out there, because I don't just do reviews. I try to do thought-provoking videos, breaking down all these scenes, all these characters, and I hope that everybody enjoys the ride, and share these videos around, get people to subscribe, because we are not even 10 people away from 25,000 subscribers. So we're making numbers, guys. So honestly, 2 thumbs up for Tyler Perry. He said on his Facebook that last night's episode and next Tuesdays are supposed to be mind-blowing, but if this episode was an indication of what we have in store for the next 3 months, then we are in for one heck of a ride. That's all I got to say. So thanks so much for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts on this episode in the comment section below, and I'll talk to you all later.